Trump's administration will be the third White House in a row that aims to cut anti-terrorism funding to various major cities throughout the country. Now, again, this is the third straight White House, so this is not blame that's placed specifically on Trump. George W. Bush did the same, Obama did the same, and now Trump is aiming to do the same. Now, the proposed budget would cut cash for the program from $605 million to nearly $449 million for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, and requires cities such as New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas to pay 25% of the grants. So the White House is essentially saying, look, why don't the states take on more of the financial burden of fighting terrorism, right? And that's a fair point. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because look how incredibly disingenuous our politicians are. And it doesn't matter if it's a Democratic politician or a Republican politician. The fear-mongering about terrorism and how they need to be strong with national security continues on and on. But behind the scenes, they're cutting funding for these anti-terrorism programs, right? Now, look, I'm not even having an argument about whether or not these programs are effective or if they should be there, but it's just a huge disconnect in messaging. There's the fear-mongering on one hand, and then the cut for funding on the other hand.
Well, it's more than interesting. It shows that maybe this war on terror isn't really about terror. Maybe this war on terror is about what you alluded to earlier, that, maybe we have a war machine, that there's profit in war. We have a death economy. And so that's what maybe this is about, because that's what it looks like. It's like, if you guys are really serious about stopping terror, why? So you're going to put $55 billion into more bombs and take away the actual work of trying to prevent, right? So you're all about making bombs and dropping them and killing people, but you don't want to prevent stuff from happening. You're going to take the funding away from that. That's suspicious, and it looks like exactly what it is to me, that we have not resisted the undue influence of the military-industrial complex.
I don't know the exact details of how this is spent in every place, but there's some examples of how they would spend it. I mean, devil's advocate, if this money is being spent on constructing command centers, active shooter training, probably buying MRAPs and rifles and all that stuff, a lot of that stuff would go to defense contractors and other sorts of contractors. I mean, theoretically, if they were still giving that money, it would then go to elements of the military-industrial complex.
It would.
I think
it's smaller amounts of money, certainly.
But I think that's just one part of it. The equipment is just one part of it. I think they're funding programs and things like that, which doesn't necessarily mean hardware.
Yeah, that is true.
Like the active shooter training, but I'm imagining those sorts of groups. Like, I know Giuliani was involved with a lot of those sorts of contractors who provide those sorts of training, not just in the US, but to other cities, and they get lucrative government contracts.
No, they do, and who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Maybe they just think it's smarter to have the money go straight to defense contractors and private contractors, as opposed to
more efficient, I guess.
Yeah, it's more efficient rather than having the money go to these major cities that could be the target of terrorist plots. But regardless, I'm not even really concerned about the effectiveness of the program. What I'm more concerned about is just the propaganda that we get fed day in and day out. And while someone like Donald Trump fearmongers about terrorism and boasts about how he's going to be very strong on national security, behind the scenes, just like the two presidents that preceded him, he wants to cut the funding for these programs that would help these major cities.
Young Turks now has over 6 billion lifetime views. You know who did that? You did that. We're now larger than CNN, ABC, you name a news network online, we're larger than them. And you built all that as everyone scoffed and didn't believe. And here we are, guys, thanks to you. Build independent media together with us at tytnetwork.com/join.